the MC of the Ryder Cup, promoting, heckling FU chants towards Rory McIlroy. Talk about a home field advantage. Talk about disrespect. Talk about a lack of ethics in sports. However entertaining it may have been or it was, what it really reveals is the mental toughness that Rory McIlroy and the European Ryder Cup team showed holding on to this lead, eking out the victory, and proving to the world, to themselves, and to the fans what mental toughness, resilience really means, and how these larger-than-life super athletes embody this. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about that mental toughness, what we can learn from these super athletes, and how we can apply that to our lives. My name is Mike. This is the Starts With Me channel. I hope you find this helpful. So the reports coming out of this weekend's Ryder Cup are pretty intense in terms of how the crowd treated the Europeans. Even Rory McIlroy's wife had a beer thrown at her. Set aside all the other stuff going on. That is ridiculous and idiotic, and that person needs to be slapped upside the face and perhaps even have a beer poured on top of their head. This year's Ryder Cup was way more than home field advantage. It was psychological warfare. It was a battle. So let's take a look at how the Europeans held on for dear life, closed up the Ryder Cup. Well, what is all this pressure, tension, heckling, emotion of having your family attacked or heckled or perhaps unsafe do to you? How does that impact your ability to compete and perform at your best? Most of us will not understand what that's like. We don't need to perhaps face that much adversity and pressure and tension, but we do want to learn how to keep our cool, how to manage intensely stressful situations, and ideally perform at our best. Think about these golfers under this amount of pressure. Golf is a very unique sport in which you need a lot of concentration. A sudden sound distraction can really throw you off your game and can really impact the outcome of the competition. Every little whisper of the crowd, every movement of the crowd, all of these stimuli are all potential threats to high performance. And again, the Europeans held on, stuck it out, and managed to pull off the victory. How did they do that? We again are going to look at the psychological impacts, tools, skills to be resilient and to be mentally tough in these moments. Okay, tip number 1, prepare ahead of time for the stressful event if you know it's coming, or potential stressful event. Now, whether you have a specific event coming up, which you can prepare for specifically, or routine training, habit forming to prepare yourself mentally for stress, to perform at your best, to have a clear mind when things go off the rails. So there are reports that the European Ryder Cup captain, Luke Donald, gave the team VR headsets that were filled with crowd noise and heckling and all this kind of stuff to help the players prepare in advance. That's pretty genius. So what can you do to prepare in advance? Can you expose yourself to similar stimuli? You can use VR headsets. You can use the imagination of your mind. You could even ask somebody to help you, poke you on the side, chirp in your ear, whatever it is when you're trying to perform at your best. Another tool these players used was emotional regulation and boundary setting. So some of the players refused to hit their next shot until the crowd quieted down. That is a wonderful way to not make mistakes, but also not make yourself responsible for your bad play, and to make other people responsible for their behavior. So many of us just put up with bullshit and avoid taking responsibility for our part in the situation. So here, Rory McIlroy did his best to hold his ground, set a boundary, and tell other people to stop doing what they were doing, enforce the rules, enforce the situation, and don't put up with the bullshit. So whether you're giving a presentation, I've presented to thousands and thousands of students over the years, And whenever the crowd would get a little unruly or kids were distracted, etc., I would stop the presentation. I would look at them kindly, politely, and I would say, yo, if you want to do that, I got no worries with it, but please, go outside. Go to the hallway. That would happen in a large auditorium sometimes. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. It was respectful. I was setting the boundary, and I wouldn't continue the presentation until they either shut up or they left the room. So can you ask people to respect the rules? Can you pause? Can you avoid making your own mistakes because you don't set a boundary and tell people what's up? Another tip you can think of here is process focused, in the moment. Stick to your routine, stick to your plan, stick to the tools and skills that you have developed over time to help you get through the moment. And that does take a lot of internal focus, a lot of patience, a lot of breathing, ability to cloud out the noise, draw your attention inside, focus on the next right step, one foot in front of the other, one moment at a time. Another beautiful thing about the Ryder Cup and Europe's dominant, squeaked out a victory on Sunday, that was really impressive is the teamwork, the camaraderie, the support. We can't do everything on our own. We need each other. So do you have a team, or at least a person, a couple people who you can surround yourself with to help you overcome or face these really difficult situations? I am the master at getting support, building a team around me that helps me become the person that I want to be. I've learned to ask for help. I've learned to listen to others, to shut my mouth, to take guidance, and to embody and integrate the things I've learned from others. And again, here, from the coach, Luke Donald, on down, the VR headsets, the training, the whatever, Europe really had their game together, and they planned, they executed, and they showed the world what execution, discipline, etc. is all about. So don't forget to ask for help. Sports psychology calls this ability to integrate the pressure, integrate the moment, mental toughness. There's different language around it. We want to be able to use the stress, use the opportunity as an opportunity. We worked our whole life to get here. In my helpless, hopeless, hapless amateur golf revival, I was in a playoff the other day. I lost, but I made it past the first hole. I had a pretty pressure-packed putt, and I just said to myself, I was born for this. I was born for this. I was born for this. So I used the stress. I made the putt. I used the stress, and I did not use that mantra when I screwed up the shot that made me lose. But anyhow, that mantra of I was born for this. I am trained for this. I can do this. We are leveraging the stress. It's an opportunity rather than something to be fearful of. So with this thing, or if you want to practice that resiliency, can you see things as an opportunity? We can use that pressure, that hostility into an internal resolve to do our best. And again, the European team obviously did a better job of that this year. Okay, so let's wrap this up in something that you can do moving forward to practice. Let's make it more specific. Let's make it more specific. Can you stimulate the stress ahead of time? Can you rehearse mentally? Can you imagine the stress? Can you use the VR headsets, etc.? Can you put yourself in situations that gives you some practice? Anchor your routine. Create a routine. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're trying to approach that's stressful, that's difficult, it could be a hard conversation with a loved one, it could be something at work, it could be a child, whatever. Can you create a little routine to help prepare you? It could be a mantra. You could write out the thing you need to say. You could practice it, whatever it is. What's the little routine to help you in that moment? Mine generally is, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. That's a little simple. Sometimes it needs to be a little bit more than that. Do what you got to do to create a little routine, a little primer for you to have a better chance to perform your best. If you do run into an error, a difficult moment, you find yourself screwing up, something happens that distracts you, the next tip here is to pause. Reframe the distraction, reframe the situation as an opportunity again The example I gave of being in a large auditorium and having students making noise, I use that as an opportunity for connection. I'm connecting to the person who's causing the distraction, and I'm connecting to the rest of the audience, letting them know that I'm not here to fuck around. I'm here to be serious and to do my best, and I don't put up with BS. So it can also be used as an opportunity for connection, asserting boundaries, that kind of thing. Okay, another helpful tool is get support, ask for help, build a team, have those you trust around that you know will be there for you when you need it. Another thing you could practice with is giving yourself a little pat on the back or a little good job, a little positive intrinsic reward and reinforcement that you did it. It's a really important skill in many domains of our life, acknowledging to yourself when you did a good job. And when you screw up, acknowledge what you screwed up and how you're going to do better. It's okay to pat ourselves on the back when we do a good job. It's necessary, and it helps us integrate the things that we did that got us there. Well, the 2025 Ryder Cup was a beauty. It came down to the wire. The American fans were crazy, pretty disrespectful. I assume the European fans are the same sometimes. Doesn't matter. What is amazing here is that the Europeans held it together. They fought off the noise. They managed to protect themselves from their own fears of what might happen to their families or themselves or whatever. They stuck to their process. They relied on their training. They relied on each other. They got the job done, and that was really impressive. Really impressive. You can't control the world around you, but you can control this. To the best of our ability, we have some influence over this. So don't blame others, because when you do, there's 3 fingers pointing right back at you. Don't blame other people. Control what you can control. Remember your practice. Remember your routines. Remember your focus. This is an opportunity to be our best, to excel, to grow. It's okay to pat yourself on the back. It's okay to acknowledge when others perform excellently, admire others' performances. I didn't really care who won here. Really amazing at what happened and how it all unfolded. If you found that little breakdown, that little overview helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, give me a comment on what you thought about the Ryder Cup. Share this with someone who you think might find it helpful. Thank you for watching and listening. I wish you all the best. Take it easy. Peace out.